It's late in the evening when my friend invites me over for dinner. Her apartment smells great. She tells me her boyfriend is still working. I think, cool. So the two of us sit down at the table. Table's all set and ready for some scrumptious food. Just the two of us to enjoy. After a little while, I bite on something hard and spit out a small mouthful of food into my napkin. At first, it seems like some residue from a chicken bone, but something about it keeps me from putting down the nasty napkin. I look a little closer, and suddenly I retch. Shivers, uncontrollable all through my body, running down my spine, knees shaking. Felt like my soul was trembling because I realized it was a human finger. Welcome to Foggy Nights. After the fifth night, I couldn't handle it anymore. The cats, the damn cats, fighting around the neighborhood kept me up until way past midnight with their screeching. And every time I left for work in the morning, I saw my garbage bins all tumbled over and knocked down. Trash spilled all over the front lawn and all over the damn place. Furious, done with this crap, I would watch two culprits sit on my fence, licking their little paws and shitting on my flowers. I was done with them. So I laid a trap. 2, maybe 3. No one could ever know what secretly killed them. But I knew. I knew they would feed themselves with the poison from my garbage bins and bleed out after escaping the bear traps in my garden. Not many fell into the hidden nets I'd stretched over some holes in the backyard that I dug. But boy, I did enjoy finding one the next morning and watching the light die in their little eyes as I squeezed their little stray cat crazy throats.
Time to play.
My sister had begged my parents for the doll months before she finally turned 6, and actually got it. Its catchphrase was a simple,
Time to play.
which is lame if you ask me. Madison used the doll to invite me over to her house for tea parties, walking around the room, circling the table, watching her stand in corners with it, playing it and playing its catchphrase over and over and over.
Time to play. Time to play. Time to play.
Well, one day, when I was doing my homework, I heard a knock on the door, followed by a
Time to play.
"Not now, Maddie," I said, and she played it again.
Time to play.
I said not now, but the doll kept echoing its catchphrase, seemingly getting louder each time and slowly pissing me off. I finally got up and opened the door and sent Madison away. But there was no one there. The doll laid in front of my door, and it turned out that my sister wasn't even home. Time to play. The fair was in town, and me and my friends always loved to go whenever it came around. We all dared each other to go into the haunted house. We all went in the end, getting jump scared in utter darkness until we got into a room lit by neon purple lights. There, big huge fake spiders were everywhere and coming down from the ceiling. We didn't pay it any mind. A fake spider suddenly landed on my shoulder and startled me. Nobody had seen me shaking it off though, and I quickly just brushed him off. Noticing, suddenly, a lot of other fake spiders coming down from the ceiling, just dropping. I became aware the spiders weren't actually fake. I tried my best to keep myself from getting completely covered in these spiders and their webs. Webbing started shooting in our faces and covering our eyes. I would put my hand to my face and pull it away. It was so thick and sticky. It was unnatural. Webs would just start coming from everywhere, from the right, from the left, getting matted in our hair. Of course, we started freaking out. My friend got one in her hand, and she started screaming,
"Get it off me! Get it off me!"
Then, one giant spider tripped over her hand as it was coming down from the ceiling and fell on its back with its legs flailing all in the air. I watched it flip over, and another thread shot into my face and I couldn't see anything. Then I felt another thread cover my mouth, and then I couldn't scream. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't scream. I couldn't breathe. Hundreds of little legs began trickling all over my body. I don't think this is a part of the haunted house.
Confess, little girl.
Sunday came quicker than she had anticipated, and feeling small, she shuffled into the church. She was scared to confess that she killed a little sparrow. Earlier that week, it had been an accident and no one knew. She thus reluctantly stepped into the confessional booth, and the priest, well, his voice immediately asking her if she'd sinned. "Have you sinned?" In a low tone, she told him about the sparrow.
"I killed a sparrow."
And tears came to her eyes as she described how his neck snapped underneath her little fingers. "Ah," came the voice of the priest on the other side, and she heard a sudden crack that made her flinch. The next words were much, much deeper, inhuman almost.
You don't have to fear judgment, little girl. I've taken care of it for you.
When she didn't get any other answer, she got out of the confessional booth, feeling strangely relieved, yet oddly unsettled. 2 minutes later, they opened the other side, and in the confessional booth was the priest, who hadn't spoken since the girl had left. His neck had snapped backwards, and his glassy eyes looked like they had seen the devil himself. After summer break, I was officially part of the 6th graders, and I desperately wanted to be part of the group. We often played games of ring and run, where each of us ran up to a house, rang the bell, and ran off before anyone opened the door.
But there was one house that no one dared to go to, even when we were pretty sure no one even lived there. People said it was a haunted house, and knowing this was the chance to prove myself. I walked up to the old building while the others quickly hid behind the bush, and I rang the doorbell, surprised that it even worked. And I ran as fast as I could, hiding behind the bush with the rest. We held our breaths as the bell echoed against the walls, and just when we thought nothing would happen, the bell rang again, and a thundering sound like the devil's laughter spontaneously ringing without anyone standing on the porch.